All right, so I've spent the last hour and a half really trying to figure out the timeline of Tomb Raider. And so I wanted to dive into this video because I am very excited about the new Tomb Raider remake that's coming out for 2026. And I'm very excited for Lara's big next adventure in 2027. Now, I'm a big fan of the Survivor trilogy of games, and it's only because that was what really introduced me into Tomb Raider. I've always known about Tomb Raider, I always knew about the Angelina Jolie movies, but I never was able to really play the games. I think I owned the first one, but I was very young and I just kind of fucked around. I didn't really play them. So to me, Lara really was the Survivor trilogy Lara. And I have nothing against the original. And if anything, after I saw this trailer, I went back and I played the Tomb Raider Legends version of the original, and I thought it was pretty fucking cool. I had a really fun time last night playing that, and I could see why so many people love the original Lara. The acrobats, the flips, the double wielding gun, it's really fun, and I can appreciate both. But here's the thing, with this remake is that they want to unify everything. They want to bring everything together and have one singular timeline. And some people that have gone and done this in a very good way has been the Resident Evil series, where they've been remaking their games to fit in line with their newer games. And it has this double model where they'll release a remake and then they'll release a new one and then a remake and a new one and a remake and a new one. And I got a feeling that Tomb Raider is gonna go down a similar path. So it's very complicated if you make it complicated, to be honest. When you look at the timeline, you look at all the games, you're like, what the fuck is going on? What do you mean there's a Survivor timeline? What do you mean there's an original timeline? What do you mean there's a Legends timeline? What is all that, right? What's the unified timeline? So today we set out to figure that out and get the definitive timeline of Tomb Raider. And I'm going to explain it the absolute best that I can. Now, as you guys can see, I am an amateur. So if I get something wrong, please let me know down in the comments so we can correct it and let's start a discussion down there. So firstly, I'd like to show you guys this timeline right here. This is the original release dates of the Tomb Raider games. So from 1996 all the way to 2003, we had the original timeline, which featured Tomb Raider, Tomb Raider 2, Tomb Raider 3, Tomb Raider The Last Revelation, Tomb Raider Chronicles, and then Tomb Raider Curse of the Sword, with the final one being Tomb Raider The Angel of Darkness. Those were the games that are considered the original timeline. So 3 years later, you had the Legend timeline, which consisted of Tomb Raider Legend, Tomb Raider Anniversary, and Tomb Raider Underworld, which released in 2006, 2007, and 2008. Now, Tomb Raider Legend from 2006 and Tomb Raider from 1996 are the same game, basically, just remade. So now, after the Legend timeline in 2008, you had to wait 5 years to get the Survivor timeline, with the first entry being Tomb Raider in 2013. Then you had Rise of the Tomb Raider in 2015, and then you had Shadow of the Tomb Raider in 2018. And since then, the series has been pretty dormant. They've been working behind the scenes, but we haven't really gotten anything new. So that is the release dates, the original release dates of Tomb Raider from 1 all the way to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. The second thing that I want to show you is this. This includes now the unified timeline. So we're adding now 2026 and 2027. In 26, we get Legacy of Atlantis, and then 2027, we get Tomb Raider Catalyst. So this is how the original release dates are going to look by the time 2027 hits. That right there. So it's pretty simple, pretty easy. We got it. We figured it out. So let me show you guys this. This is the chronological order of the Tomb Raider series. This is the quote-unquote unified timeline. Now, when I say chronological order, this is the events, how they happen supposedly in Lara Croft's life. In 2013, 15, and 18, with Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Lara is becoming the Tomb Raider. She is still young. That's why she wasn't as witty. That's why she didn't have the double wielding guns. That's why she wasn't as cocky and confident, because she was learning the ways of the Tomb Raider. And after those 3 games finished and that arc was completed, she began her journey as the real Savage Tomb Raider in 1996. And then from 1996 and onward is how her life occurred. The reason that we have Tomb Raider Curse of the Sword, which released in 2001 after the first Tomb Raider, is because it's a direct sequel. And that's like a little mini, shorter, smaller game. And then after Curse of the Sword, the Tomb Raider 2 events happen, and then 3, and then Last Revelations and Chronicles, and so on. So this is how the chronological order supposedly happened. Now, I know what you guys might be thinking. Legend and Tomb Raider from 1996 are the same games. How is this the chronological order? In the next fucking timeline that we look at, you'll understand what we're doing. So this is how it looks. And so Tomb Raider Underworld in 2008 is the final entry of Tomb Raider, and that is the furthest that we've gone in her life, in her timeline. So the earliest that we've ever gotten in Laura's life is Tomb Raider 2013, and the latest is Tomb Raider Underworld 2008. That is all going to change in 2007 with Tomb Raider Catalyst, because that's going to be a direct sequel to Tomb Raider Underworld. So then after this, we go into 4. Now, I put a star here, a little red star. The little red star means that the first game remade. So that means that they're all the same game. So Tomb Raider 96, Tomb Raider Legend 2006, and then Tomb Raider 2026 are all remakes of the very first Tomb Raider adventure. So because they're all remakes of the same game, 2 of these have to go and only 1 can stay. All right, so now we take a look at number 5. With number 5, you have the remake for 2026 replacing the original, and we remove Legends as well from the Chronicle Order Unified Timeline updated. Okay, so we have Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow, Legacy of Atlantis, and then these are the chronological order. This is how the game is going to go. So again, we go back to this timeline with the little red star. We're removing Tomb Raider 96, we're removing Tomb Raider 2006, and then we're grabbing the Legacy of Atlantis, which is releasing in 2026, and we are putting that right in between Shadow and right in between Curse of the Sword. That is how this timeline is looking. So now it's getting a little cleaned up. Now it's getting a little bit better and easier to understand. So now you guys have a really big argument towards this unified timeline BS. You guys are saying, I don't like it. It doesn't make sense. They have different origin stories. The years are different. The original Lara was born in the 60s. The 2013 rebooted Lara was born somewhere in the 90s. So how can they all be unified? It doesn't make sense. Well, here's the thing. The reason that they're going back and remaking the first one is to make it fit in line with the Survivor trilogy. So the new 2026 one is probably going to take place a little bit, some years ahead of the original. So that's why it's being remade. That's why it's getting remade. That's why it's being a whole new story, because you're grabbing this original Lara and you're fitting her into the Survivor trilogy. This means that she's going to be cocky. She's going to be her old self, but now you have more context of how it happened. So eventually what I think is going to happen is you're going to be phasing out these original games because they should be remade. So this brings us to our final and last timeline. This is my prediction for the future. We're going to have these games here with Tomb Raider, Rise, Shadow, and then Legacy of Atlantis. So maybe not the Curse of the Sword, because that one was mini, but we'll include it for now. But I definitely think from Tomb Raider 2 all the way to potentially Tomb Raider Underworld, we are going to get remakes for these games to fit in line with Legacy of Atlantis, fit in line with Survivor Trilogy, and now these are all going to be remade. I mean, they are sitting on a gold mine of fantastic Tomb Raider games that fans of the Survivor Trilogy have never played the originals, because that has happened. That is the truth. I haven't played most of those original games. They are going to be like brand new stories, brand new games to a whole new audience. And then for the older audience that has played the originals, you get to revisit these games in a new way, new graphics, new control schemes, maybe a few things updated that weren't there before. So you get to relive something fantastic from your childhood in a brand new way. This gives Crystal Dynamics and Amazon Games time to continue building out brand new games, because they'll remake one of these, they'll release that, keep us entertained, and then they'll release a new mainline game. And then they'll remake another one, and then they'll release a new mainline game, and so on and so forth, like Resident Evil has been doing. So that is my prediction. That's what I think is going to happen, because you're going to have to make Tomb Raider 2 and Tomb Raider 3 to fit in line with Legacy of Atlantis, to fit the dates, to fit the time, to fit the tone. So you're going to have to remake both of those games. And then eventually you're going to have to get to every single one, so they're all modernized and they all make sense. And that's how you get the unified timeline that we see here. But those are going to be remade. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I think is going to happen. This is the chronological order unified timeline updated. You get to see it here in all its glory. And once again, from the games released from 97 all the way to 2008, I do believe those games are going to be remade. I think they're going to have to be remade, with the exception of Curse of the Sword. That one might never be talked about again. I'm not sure. But I do think these will be remade here to fit the Legacy of Atlantis remake, and then fit the Survivor Trilogy remake as well, or reboot. And then I have 2 question marks here, because this is going to follow the Tomb Raider Catalyst storyline and continuing Lara Croft story. We'll see how many more they got, but I think this will probably be another trilogy here, but this is going to be brand new stories that none of us have ever played. So this looks really interesting. The future of Tomb Raider looks like it's back, and it's back for many, many years. I mean, Tomb Raider is a franchise that so many people love. It's a classic. It's one of those franchises that redefined what gaming was at the time, and it's so beloved, and so many people have so many strong opinions about Tomb Raider that it's interesting to talk about. And not only that, I personally, like, just being selfish, I get to experience the story of Lara Croft like never before. I get to experience her full-on story, and these remakes are gonna be fantastic for me because I get to go into this blind. And I'm really, really happy about that. I love the Survivor trilogy. Like I said, I've been playing Tomb Raider Legends or at Tomb Raider Anniversary, one of those two, on the PS5 portal. And last night I was having a fucking good time playing it. So it's fun, and I'm excited to see how that is going to translate to the new modern, technology that we got with PS5. And I just think it's going to be really fun. I hope that the gameplay is really fun and out there and just dope. So again, this is something that I really wanted to look at. It had been eating at me since last night because I really wanted to make it. So made sure to get up early, get this ready for you guys. Please let me know if this makes sense. Please let me know if I missed something. Please let me know if I got something wrong. But this, once again, is the chronological order, unified timeline updated. This is how the life of Lara Croft goes. And eventually, I think we'll get all of these here remade as well. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.